will be there any map editor in the future, Adrian?
It's one of the things that we're very keen to look at, is how do we engage you guys, the community, in our maps. So whilst I'm not talking necessarily map creators, map editors, I am very, very interested in how we effectively, how can we build maps together. I'm very, very keen on getting early feedback, being able to have the way that we build content as a communal experience. And I think that's something that I think could be really cool for the future. Again, it's something that's we can look at, and we will continue to figure out ways that we can do that. Whether or not that's an editor or a creator, at this point, I can't say. But it's a really cool thing to be able to do, and yeah, I would love to do it.
Okay, next one is, will there be open maps with landscapes or forests or outdoor maps?
Yeah, trees in GRO, that would be an amazing thing. Again, I would love for us to be able to do that. We have, right now we've been focusing on urban settings. If you look at our maps, they're either inside buildings or they're in big walled spaces. It's certainly something that it would give a nice fresh feel to. We have to be very careful with that, because obviously we spend a lot of time, our maps are designed for a certain reason. That's the way the gameplay is built. We're very much about the pushing between points, or the taking of a single point with our new game mode. But we have to make sure that we don't break the methodology that we have within our level design. If you go obviously not open world, but big open spaces, then how do you keep teams together? How do you keep that team-based gameplay going? So we have to be careful with that. But it would be really cool to be able to play in an outside sort of forest space. I think that would be a brilliant thing to be able to do in GRO. But we'll have to see how we get on with our level design on that.
Okay. Sometimes it happens that you play one match, you stay in the queue, and afterwards you still have 3 or 4 times the same map. So you're forced to play the same maps 3 or 4 times in a row. What's the reason for this?
So there's 2 reasons for it. The first reason is that we have basically, when you join a match, we have a random match selection. But because there's lots of people joining, it's difficult to actually make sure that everybody who's come in isn't playing the same map that they previously played. It's random, and you've got the random factor of 16 people coming into it. So there's always the chance, based on that you may get the same map again. The other factor is, because we introduced the new game mode, we wanted to make sure that, in the new map, we wanted to make sure that people got to experience it as much as possible. So we upped the probability of that match occurring, or that game mode and that map occurring. For a short time after launch, we've now reduced that back, so now it's back in its normal random mode. But that did mean that for some cases, some people would see that map a lot more times. I think that's something that we need to look at better ways of doing that. I like the idea of people being exposed to the new content more. I think that's good. I mean, we're very proud of what we deliver, so we want people to experience that. But how do we do that in a way that people don't get frustrated and we don't have these situations where people play the same map 4 times in a row? that's something we need to continue to look at and to figure out better ways of being able to do it. So we take it on board. We hear you. I felt it myself. We'll figure it out.
Alright, next one is, if you're able to tell us, how many maps more or less are you planning to make each year?
When we first started making Jiro, one of our fundamental concerns for the gameplay that we're trying to do, the team-based gameplay, also the levels that we're trying to make, the maps that we're trying to make, we wanted to focus on quality, and we wanted to provide a unique experience with Jiro, so gameplay that you just can't get anywhere else. And I personally feel that we've hit that target, but we still have very much that ethos. We will work on a map and we will playtest that map in extreme cases until it is ready to be released. We're not going to rush something through. We're not in the game of creating huge amounts of content that people just consume. We want to create maps that really have longevity and that people want to keep coming back and playing. So from that perspective, I'm not going to give you a number because ultimately I don't know. We will keep creating maps. We're committed to doing that. I have a team that's constantly building and designing new maps. When they're ready, when we playtest them, and when we feel that they're really good enough to be able to launch, we will launch them. And so it will really come down to how quickly we can get through that process. But that's an ongoing process. But we are always creating new ones. We'll have to see how often we can do that.
Alright, cheers.
Okay. Are there any plans to allow players to rent dedicated servers in the future?
Yeah, there's a lot of games that do it. We recognize that. It's becoming very traditional to be able to do it. I'm not ruling it out. Again, we have to make sure that we get our priorities right. What I want to make sure is that I can deliver experience that people are coming into a match and that match is great, and then I want to start thinking about how I take that experience into things like dedicated servers or being able to rent servers. But first of all, it's all about how good is the match that I'm entering. When we get obviously we've just launched clans, or the first iteration of clans. We'll have to see how that evolves, and that will also take us into that space. So it's on our radar. We're thinking about it, but I can't really say anything else more than right now. We're focused on giving you the best possible experience in the matches that we're providing.
Alright, the next one is spectator mode. Is it something feasible?
Everything's possible. In the world of software development, you can do anything. It comes down to where you focus the team, what you focus the team on, and the challenges that are faced around that. So especially now now that we have clan matches, there's an undying. It would be cool to have spectator cam. It's right now it's not top of our priority list. We have lots of other things that we need to build. We need to flesh out our clan feature. We need to really make that as cool as possible. It's not something, again, that we are ruling out. It's on our backlog of things to look at, but right now we're prioritizing other things that we know that the community is asking for.
Right.
Will you do something about preventing hot joining into a match which is already about to finish?
And this is one of the things that is prioritizing. That's one of the things we're looking at over spectator game right now. It's making sure that, and we hear that people are can get frustrated by hot joining, and I've done it myself. I hot join into a match, and I've hot joined onto a losing team, and the match ends, and that's not a great experience. And I want to find ways where we can reduce that as much as possible. There's lots of ways. Matchmaking, especially the automatic matchmaking system that we have, is extremely complicated. There's part of it, there's balancing, there's fine-tuning it, there's giving options to players so it can opt in, opt out of hot joins, things like that. And those are the things that I'm focusing the team on, is to really try and figure that piece out.
Alright, next question is, will it be possible to add, well, of course, maybe, as you said before, are you considering adding numerical ping indicator instead of just bars?
Instead of just bars. Yeah, it's what we wanted to do from the UI is make it as visual as possible. So that if I've got a red ping, I know that my experience is not optimal. So from that perspective, it's giving that sort of very broad level of, is my match quality good or not? It's adding numerical indicators. Sure, that's the next level. It is something that we can look at. It comes down to how much value that's giving to the players, and how much priority that is right now. I think what I would really love to focus on is making sure that we are providing matches where the ping is as good as possible. I think that's an awesome focus for the team. But from those UI perspectives, sure, that's certainly something that we can be looking at.
Okay. Yeah, Zero's an online title, but some players are still asking, do you plan any LAN support for the future?
Well, yes, Enduro is an online title. The clue is in the name. We are a permanently online game. We're not going to ever have a situation where you can play offline. You're always going to need to be connected, just by the way that all of our progression, everything works, and also sort of any social features as well. So from that perspective, we're never taking it offline. We'll never have an enclosed LAN mode of the game. But that being said, for the ability for, say, to support clan matches where everybody's sitting on the LAN, that's absolutely something that and right now, feasibly, you could do it right now. But that's the sort of level that we're going to. We're not taking the game offline.